Direct mail. Now, what's that all about? Direct mail, as the name infers, is that when you are directing your mail or email to a prospect. Say, for example, you were a restaurant and you were collecting names and contact details. If you were, then you'll be one of a minority, I can assure you, because not many restaurants do that. But let's just say you have. You've collected the names and addresses and email addresses and phone numbers of diners to your restaurant. Then you might send out a direct mail campaign, either by snail mail or email, once every so often. It might be once a week or once a fortnight or once a month. And you may be telling your diners of a brand new menu that you're releasing, or some new components of a menu, okay, and giving them a special deal. Now, that's what direct mail is all about. Now, no matter what business you're in, you should be doing that on a regular basis. Now, hopefully you will have collected a database, and if you haven't, then start doing that straight away, because when you do have that database, you have the opportunity to direct mail to them, okay? Email, just a word of warning, don't bash up your list, okay? Don't bash your list. In other words, don't just rush them with email after email after email 3 times a week. If you do that, then you'll find that your open rate will go through the floor. Okay, I know lots of people who have databases of tens of thousands of people, and they have an open rate of their emails in single digits. In other words, less than 10%. Why? They're scratching their heads and wondering why. Well, I'll tell them why. It's because they've abused the privilege of having their communications with their prospects or with their clients. It's just silly to do that. If you ask me how often you should be emailing your database, I'd say probably once or twice a month. Okay. Now, in some instances where your database wants to hear from you more often because you've got free information or free advice to give them, it might be a different story. You can increase that. But I must say that in my experience, once or twice or maybe 3 times at the most a month is the sort of level that doesn't annoy a lot of people. Now, of course, that differs from industry to industry, so you have to make up your mind. As far as snail mail is concerned, of course, that's more expensive because you need to put a stamp and an envelope, or the cost of a stamp and an envelope to your letter. But by the same token, given that the open rate of a lot of emails these days is in the low numbers, then a lot of people are resorting to going back to the good old-fashioned snail mail. So that might be something. And keep in mind, with snail mail, you can create lumpy mail. Okay, so you can do all sorts of things with snail mail that you can't do via the internet. And one of those things is lumpy mail. And that's when you put something of an unusual shape in your envelope, hence the word lumpy mail, and it entices people to open that envelope. Now, there are corny versions of that where people put band-aids on the top of letters and then the headline is, let me fix all of your ills, or they might put some Nurofen stuck to the top of their letter and it would say, let me get rid of your headache. I'm not a fan of those corny things, but there might be something that you think would be a cute little attention-seeking device that you can put in the envelope to create a 3D lumpy mail sort of format, which means that at the other end, when your letter gets there, they can't help but open it and they can't help but give that some attention because there's something inside which is unusual. So that's what direct mail is all about. You'll see some samples from clients of clients of mine below, but do yourself a favour, once you've actually collected your database, make sure you communicate to them reasonably regularly, but not too regularly, via direct mail.